fellow flight instructors and NAFI members. John Niehaus, Director of Program Development for the National Association of Flight Instructors, welcoming you back for the last time in 2023 to the More Right Rudder podcast, the podcast for flight instructors on the go. And I know we're all sort of knee-deep in end of the year plans, and so I thought I would just do kind of a quick sort of year summary, plus a sort of thank you to all of you, and we'll get to that momentarily. But for those of you that are just coming off of Christmas, Merry Christmas. For those of you, our Jewish friends out there who are finishing up Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah, and any other holiday towards the end of the year that I may be unfamiliar with or uneducated with, happy to whatever that is. And for those of you that are just looking forward to the end of the year, Happy New Year to you too. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for giving this little podcast the time of day, really. Those of you that listen in the car, listen at home, listen anytime that you just find yourself interested in flight instruction and cool pilot stories. I thank you so much for bringing us into your home, your car, wherever that might be. Thank you for listening to the stories of our members, of our listeners. That's frankly my favorite part. We've had a great year as an association, and starting out with the podcast. I mean, this is a completion of, I think, our second year as a podcast, and it's sort of just a humble little podcast, but we've seen growing numbers. I mean, we're looking at 1,000+ listeners now per episode, which, I mean, compared to Joe Rogan, that's nothing, but compared to what we were doing before, I think we've seen some really good growth, and I appreciate everyone who listens, of course, as I already said. If you haven't subscribed, please do. It all helps. We are starting to get some recognition from our friends and sponsors out there. For the 2023 sponsors, also thank you. SiriusXM, Avemco, Sporties, let's see, ICOM, and anybody else that I might be forgetting. Thank you all for that. But thanks to those of you that have been guests on the podcast. I mean, these things kind of happen serendipitously. Sometimes it's friends of the association, whether it be our sponsors or anybody who does presentations for Mentor Live, but sometimes it just kind of happens. We had Nathan Ballard, who came on just a couple episodes ago to talk about a student freezing at the controls. Nathan, thank you so much. That came about because he sent a message to me, to the podcast, just to kind of talk about a couple things. And my favorite thing to do in this podcast is to get members and listeners on, because everybody's got a cool story to tell. I always view the NAFI outlets as a great opportunity for members to tell their story and to share thoughts and share ideas in ways that maybe they wouldn't have a platform for otherwise. This association is about the members, and what we do is promote you. It's not about promoting us. I mean, certainly we've got things to say too, but we view it as, support of everyone who participates in the association. So that is absolutely my favorite thing to do. But we had some really cool guests. We had San Carlos Flight Center earlier this year. They talked about their CFI finishing school course. We had Icarus Devices talking about their super cool device to be able to train instrument students with a headset that can transition from IMC to VMC and back again. We had Aerox Oxygen Systems talking about different rules on public or portable oxygen and how some of the oxygen rules just came to be from the very beginning. We hit our 60th episode on this podcast. We also introduced The Right Seat, which is a reoccurring column in Mentor Magazine, and we also had Beth Stanton. And you recall one of the last episodes that just came out. Beth Stanton introduced her Writers Behind the Stories series, where every couple months she interviews a reoccurring author or contributor for Mentor Magazine, most recently Fred Stahl. But She also did Boots, and she did Patrick Howell. And certainly we all appreciate, those contributions. And of course, one of my personal favorites, Randall Williams, came on to talk to me about sailing. And we've got some cool ideas moving forward into 2024. I've got the possibility of a pilot/yoga instructor to talk about, the similarities and differences in teaching yoga versus flight. I think that it's a really cool idea to try to talk to teachers of different things and see how they compare, contrast, and how those that do both sort of use the same skills in different ways. So look for that in 2024. Now, moving on past the podcast, we've had some really cool things this year. Of course, we had our very first NAFI summit. That was in October. We're doing it again next year. The location and the date, I think, are subject to change, so keep in mind with that. But that was a great success, and that was all credit to one of our members who volunteered, Samantha Bauer. If you're listening, thank you so much for all of your work. She was amazing, and the amount of time and effort that she put into helping this thing go is huge. And of course, our president, Paul Prydecker, and our chair, Karen Kalashak, really put in the time to make sure this worked. And of course, there's a huge team of everyone else that did as well. But they really took point and made this thing into something that I think we were all sort of only imagining it could be. So that was super cool. Of course, we have the King Schools NAFI CFI scholarship coming up. There's going to be a special episode about that in a little bit. But the deadline for that is early January. You don't have to be an instructor to qualify, or you could even be an instructor looking to add a rating to qualify. So go to the NAFI website. It's right on our homepage. You can get all the information on how to apply, but the deadline is rapidly approaching, and the winner will be announced at Sun and Fun 2024. So the turnaround on that is going to be relatively quick. Additionally, let's see, what else do we have? Mentor Live has had some of the largest audiences that we've had over the existence of the program, so that is fantastic. Thank you to all of the supporters and sponsors of that, plus all of the people that came on to present. And when we're talking about presenters, we also have to talk about the presenters at the Professional Development Center that did their presentations at Oshkosh, but then also those that donated their time and efforts to present at the first summit. So that's a lot of education, folks, between all of these different things, including our YouTube page and, everything else. The amount of volunteerism that we have had through our members and through the flight instruction communities is just huge. So it's a pleasure for us to do this. Let's see, what else? We just added an additional special interest group. So this group is for simulator instructors, and it sort of runs the gamut of not just simulator instructors in the traditional sense, but it also talks about sort of home-based, computer-based simulators and setups and things like that. So it's sort of a broad spectrum of a special interest group, but they had their first meeting here in December. And we're excited for them to continue, and we've got at least 2 more coming. So stay tuned in 2024 for more special interest groups, if that's what you're into. We have Digital Mentor coming. I'm not going to blow the lid too badly on this because I don't want to steal the thunder away, but that's something very exciting for 2024, so stay tuned for that too. What else do we have? So much. And again, none of this could happen without you. And my final thought here as we sort of reflect on 2023 and open the door in 2024 is the team here at NAFI. I am blessed as program director here to just have an amazing team. And that team consists of staff members, board members, and contractors that we work with. I'll start with our staff. If you aren't familiar with who actually works for this association, of course I'm here. But more importantly, we have Sharon Tackerberry, and she kind of runs a little bit of everything. You've probably spoken to her on the phone. She's probably renewed your membership at one point or another, but she does so much more than that. And I won't get into all those things because I think I could probably take the next 20 minutes trying to describe all of those things, but she's amazing. And Sharon, thank you for all your work. Heather Spalding was added to our team earlier this year. And all those cool graphics that you see now for Mentor Live and the different artwork that we're putting together to make our emails look better, the website look better, social media look better. She is the brains and the creative talent behind that, and we thank her for that too. Of course, we've got our amazing board, and I won't mention all of them because we have quite a few, but these are all volunteers. You know, Karen Kalishek, our chair, Paul Preidecker, our president. They have really stepped up to make sure that the association runs the way it's supposed to run. And, we're proud of ourselves, but we're a small association. We don't have a lot of extra funds in the bank. And certainly the funds that we do have, we want to make sure gets poured back into the membership. So they're volunteers, and, they really do kind of operate as employees, really. So hours and hours of time and effort go into keeping things going, and the board are a huge portion of that. Of course, we have our director of publications / editor, Beth Stanton. She works very hard and does amazing work. She makes sure that your bi-monthly Mentor magazine comes on time and just looks fantastic. And she does so much more than that too. And then we of course have our business director, Jessica Power, who works with all of our sponsors to make sure that we have the ability to continue to do what we do. So that's amazing. Let's see, so many others. But for everyone who puts this all together, for everyone who works so hard, all of the volunteers at the various shows, whether it's Summit or AirVenture or Sun and Fun, we appreciate you. So without further ado, let's say goodbye for 2023, and we'll talk to you again soon in 2024. Thank you for listening.